WagerTalk and Sports Memo customers love $9 Mondays, where each package is just $9. For a limited time from June 1st until June 7th, we're offering a 30-day all-access pass from your favorite handicapper for $210. That's only $7 per day. This special includes all daily plays from your favorite handicapper every day for 30 days, including 5% plays normally priced at $39 alone. Use coupon code June30, good for multiple uses at WagerTalk and Sports Memo. Once you sign up, you'll get every play sent to you as soon as they post it.
Four.
Hello, everyone. It's the Memorial Tournament. Another week, another PGA Tour event, and we're here to preview it again on Tee Time from Vegas. I'm Nick Borrman of WagerTalk.com. With me, as always, my co-host Andy Lang, here to break it all down. Jack's tournament, the Memorial, Muirfield Village, always a great tournament, always a great field, and definitely a good warm-up for the U.S. Open in 2 weeks' time. Andy, how are you, my friend?
Doing really good. Two majors really, really close to each other, plus add the Memorial in there. We just got some great golf. We got the Canadian Open next week, which is always an interesting one. It's coming off a profitable week, so looking to extend that to the weekend. And, Jack's Place, they've done a great job on this course. Really, really good job on this course, making it a really legit tournament. I'm sure we'll get into the course and what happened last year, but really excited. This is a test of the entire golf game. You can't overpower it. Hot putter, you got to be good around the green. You got to be good on approaches. This is not like a one-dimensional course. You have to be good in all facets of the game. So looking really, really forward to it. Stacked field, should be a great week of golf.
Yeah, it's a great course. It's one that Tiger loved and always dominated when he was playing in his heyday. So definitely an awesome, awesome event. Before we get to this week's tournament, let's take care of some business as usual. We do have a promo code for everybody for this week's pack of the Memorial Tournament. It is Memorial20. Saves $20 off the package for either Andy or myself over at WagerTalk.com. Normally priced at $39. Get it for just $19. Includes all 4 days of coverage and everything that we have in the pack: outrights, leaderboards, matchups, and he's usually got a daily fantasy matchup or at least a couple notes in there as well. So head over to WagerTalk.com to check that out. All right, before we get into this week, we always like to do a quick recap of how we did the previous week. Before we do that, I will say I did not see Scheffler going into Sunday with a 2-shot lead and not winning that tournament. So that was a surprise. So I guess he is human after all. But Sam Burns now with 3 wins on the year. Pretty impressive. Probably the only guy that has a legitimate chance at this point to perhaps catch Scottie Scheffler in Player of the Year. But obviously it's Scheffler's to lose at this point with a major under his belt. So, Andy, let's talk about last week. What was your best? What was your worst from last week?
Profitable week, gained a couple of units, went 3-2. Best bet, we talked about it on the show, Jordan Spieth over Justin Thomas. Thomas coming off the win and didn't even make the cut. So that was a no sweat, pretty easy win. Thomas had a disaster hole and it was over from there. So really liked fading these guys that win these majors or these random winners. It's a great spot. And my worst bet was hand it to Pereira. I had Juan Sebastian Munoz over Mito Pereira, and Pereira did not miss a beat. Continues his really good year. Did not stumble at all. Munoz wasn't awful. Made the cut, but Pereira just walked all over him. That bet was never in play. So that was my worst one. And then I gotta add this in. I had Tommy Fleetwood in the top 40. And once again, we see these early guys on Sunday. If you get out early and you can beat the wind, you're in great shape. Tommy Fleetwood finished his round tied 48th and ended up 35th because the course and the wind got so much worse in the afternoon that Fleetwood just let 13, 14, and 15 guys pass him. So there's something to be said about if you got a guy and he goes out early on Saturday and Sunday, don't be surprised if he goes really, really low and some of those afternoon guys kind of pass him by. So how was your week, Nick?
Well, I think it's the ping pong effect. I don't know, whatever you want to call it, that we seem to be having. You and I. One has a good week, and the other has a shit week, and that was me last week. I did not hit any of my matchups 0-3, and I lost my best bet on Brian Harman, top 40, who shot 7 over par on Thursday, and that bet was dead before it even got going. He did try to make a comeback on Friday and got it to 3 over, but still missed the cut by a couple shots. So hopefully we rebound this week. I guess that just means for the viewers that they're gonna have to buy my pack this week. Sorry, Andy. It's just science. I'm not it's not self-promoting, but it's just science. So I'm just trying to help the guys out. But hopefully we can turn around. My best bet of the week was Chris Kirk. I did have him as an outright, which he had a chance, but really I had him as a top 10 and top 20 as well to back it up. And he was in the top 10 all week. That was plus 450. But he faded a little bit on Sunday, missed that one, but still did cash the top 20 at plus 200. So overall, not a good week with the matchups. This week I'm gonna take a back seat on the matchups and just try to stick with the outrights. I feel like what's been happening, I've hit a couple outrights, but even when I'm not hitting the outrights, usually I have at least one for sure, but 2 of them I usually pick 4. 2 or 3 of them have been right there, and this week was no difference. I had Spieth, who backdoored to top 10, Sung Jae, who had a decent tournament, and Kirk. And if I'm just backing up, these outrights with some leaderboard plays, I think we will be doing pretty well. So I'm going to go with that strategy this week. But yeah, well, it was down week, and hopefully we'll rebound. But let's get into the Memorial Tournament. As always, we'll start with the Who's Hot Coming In graphic. Once again, Sam Burns was inside this graphic last week when we previewed at Colonial, as of course was Scotty Scheffler. So every week this just continues to prove to be a great place to start when you're looking at outright bets. It's now 13 of 21 events this year in 2022 has had the winner come from within this top 10 graphic. So let's start there. So the top 10 coming in over the last 6 months, it's stacked field. So we got 7 of the top 10. You can imagine most of them are here on the screen. You got Cam Smith leading the way. Lowry, right there, number 2, who hasn't won, but hard-pressed to find somebody that's been more consistent. Rory, Rahm, Fitzy, Will Zalatoris, of course, Cantley, Matsuyama, Hovland, Schauffele, and then I put a couple notables on there that aren't in the top 10, but are big names, of course. Morikawa, 4th ranked in the world, just a little bit outside that list. Spieth, who doesn't really matter what his numbers say. He just can find a way to win even when he doesn't have the best sort of numbers. So you got to kind of ignore that on a week-to-week. I took him last week. I thought he'd have a good showing. He like I said, he backdoored his way into it, but another top 10. And then Max Homa, who's been pretty steady. So some decent numbers on some of these guys in this list as well. But these are the hottest guys coming in, and as you can expect, these are the guys on the odds board, at least near the top. So, Andy, let's get into the tournament and the field this week. I always like to start with you. What should the viewers know about either or going into this week?
It's been renovated a lot every year. They seem to do something on it. I think they pretty much settled on last year's renovation, and it played tough outside of Rahm. For whatever reason, Rahm just destroyed it. The rough can be thick. It'll be interesting to see how much they've let it grown out. If you don't hit your fairways, you're in trouble, and you got to be good around the green. The approach shots are essential here, and if you miss the green, there can be some really tough ones. I was reading that around the green is actually a pretty important stat here. So if you're looking at that, for whatever reason, David Leaworth the last 6 months is number 1 around the green, but he's only played in a few events. I wouldn't worry about that too much. But then you're looking at guys like Matt Kuchar, Rory McIlroy, Chris Kirk, Pat Perez, Matt Jones, Matthew Fitzpatrick, Joaquin Neiman. Some of those guys, they're really good. But they did lengthen it. They used to be able to tear these par 5s apart. They can't do that anymore. And a lot of the players were saying that if you're a little bit wayward, it's better to actually lay up than it is to go for it. This is one of those courses where the risk is just not worth it. You're better off to just kind of plunk it out there and try and have a short iron coming in. You can't overpower it. It's going to require good off the tee. It's going to require good approach. It's going to require good putting, everything. There's not one particular part of a golfer's game that can be good when other parts are bad. You got to be good all across the board. So, like, for example, the winner can't be like 50th in driving accuracy and good in approaches. You're going to have to be top 15, top 10 across the board on all those. So it's a true test. Jack said he wanted to make this course to where it was the best overall golfer's game over the course of 4 days, and I think they've accomplished it. It's a beautiful course. And Nick, I don't know if you know this or not, but every person that does an article or says anything, did you know that this is Jason Day's home course? We only hear that in every single article and every single podcast and every single thing that Jason Day lives actually on this course. So you'll hear a lot of Jason Day talk.
I guess that matters because he's won how many times? Oh, he hasn't. So I guess it hasn't really worked.
That's the thing about it. They always bring it up, and he's not that good here. So well.
he's close. He lives there. But he sucks there. So is what it is. I'm not saying he sucks, but I wouldn't put too much.
No, he's decent, but you would expect a couple of wins.
Yeah, something. But listen, I'm gonna echo your thoughts. You're right. This is a tournament very much like we're going to see at the U.S. Open. It's a great reason why we see such a good field year in and year out, because it's a great warm-up for it. Right before the U.S. Open, they can take a week off right after it and then be ready to go in 2 weeks' time. Last year, after the renovations you mentioned, the course was playing a little slower. One thing I was kind of reading some of the players talking about last year compared to normal years, and then, of course, going into this year, is that the greens were a little bit slower as they had just been renovated. Normally, this is one of the courses with the slickest greens right next to Augusta. Augusta's always the fastest out there, and then Muirfield is right next to it. So they're expecting those to be back up, and that's probably a good reason why you mentioned approach, or not approach, but around the green being such an important aspect here, because without any little touch, if you just miscue the slightest little, chip shot, pitch shot, and it gets away from you, there's no forgiveness in those greens. So it does expect that the greens will be back, and Muirfield will have its bite back around those greens. So definitely a good stat to keep track of. I'm glad you brought that up. You mentioned, the story of last year, of course, was Rahm, and taking that 6-shot lead into Sunday, only to be told he can't play and can't win, and that was coming after that the year before where he won by 5. Technically, it was 3, right? He got assessed a 2-stroke penalty after the fact. So it's hard. You'd be hard pressed to find a guy that you kind of feel like I'm kind of torn on this. Obviously, is he out for not revenge, but he's got a axe to grind, if you will. But then again, he kind of settled it 2 weeks later when he went out in the won the U.S. Open. So I don't know if it really is lingering thing for him this week. I'll tell you, he's not going to be on my card just because his price is usually never worth it, and I don't think it is again this week. But he is the once removed defending champ, and probably would have been the two-time defending champ.
He's the two-time champ. John Rahm is not giving up a 6-shot lead on Sunday. He's just not.
You're right. You're absolutely right. Cantley, I remember in the interview afterwards, Cantley was even like, I won, I guess, but Rahm's here, I probably didn't. So at least he was honest about it. But one last thing I'll add is the weather this week. Last few weeks, there's been something to talk about. There's been a lot of talk of, which the draw is going to be better. This week looks like really it doesn't matter. There might be some lingering showers on Thursday. After that, it's 70s all 4 days, hardly any wind. Even the fairest weather golfer would be licking their chops this week to get on the course. So it looks like it will not be a factor whatsoever. So definitely a good time for these guys. All right. Let's get into our bets for the week. I will mention one stat that I did notice is that, again, you mentioned how tough it is on all aspects of your game, and it's a big reason why that 17 of the past 29 champions have previously won a major before winning at Muirfield. You just need to have all those boxes checked. So if you're not picking a major winner this week, stick with the short list of ball strikers, because there's no forgiveness around this course, and you're going to have to get the ball on the green and keep it in play to have a chance. So pick a major guy, or pick somebody like a Will Zalatoris, who's one of the best ball strikers on tour, to keep you around there. Maybe he'll make some putts, but he's going to get there eventually. All right, I'll go first. I'm looking at Shane Lowry again this week. I keep going back to Lowry. I feel like it's when, not if, that this guy is going to win. He still kind of hovers in that same neighborhood. Right now he's at 25-1 to come out ahead in this one. I said it before during the graphic when we started the show, you'd be hard-pressed to find a player that's been more consistent over the last 6 months. He's finished inside the top 25 in 11 straight stroke play events worldwide, 9 of those are inside the top 14. The only thing he hasn't done is won. So it's going to happen. It's got to happen. He did finish tied for 6th here last year. And not that it really matters, but he did win in Ohio before. He won the WGC Bridgestone Invitational at Firestone, which they no longer play at. But so he does have some history in the state. Lowry, I mentioned ball striking. Lowry has been great this year. He sits 8th in strokes gained approach, thanks to ranking number 3 in proximity to the hole. But I mentioned this before when I was backing Lowry, and a big reason to like him is when he misses, there are few players better than him. He ranks number 1 on tour in scrambling and number 10 in sand save. So all of that leads to the 3rd best scoring average on tour this season. I expect him in the mix on Sunday. Maybe he'll let me down again. I don't know. But again, I always just want to have a chance when you're betting these outrights, and I think he's going to provide that for us. So Shane Lowry, 25-1, back it up with a top 10, plus 275 out there available right now. But I like Lowry this week. Andy, let's go back to you. Players to avoid. I love your segment here. Who are the guys you're going to be weary of this week?
Did pretty decent on this segment last week. Went, I feel like 2-1. Mito Pereira was a big swing and a miss. He was 7th, but Victor Hovland, he finished 21st. If you're going to be priced that big, you got to finish top 20. You can't be finishing 21st. And then Jason Kokrak was terrible. He was 67th. So this week I will start with the defending champ, Patrick Cantlay. So I don't know. Patrick Cantlay has unbelievable course history here. I'm going to fade him. I think he's way overvalued. Since March 1st in this field, Cantlay is minus 0.62 strokes gained putting. That magic putting stroke of his that we saw at the end of last year and then, to start this year seems to be going away. He's 31st overall in strokes gained. He only has one top 25 finishes in his last 5 tournaments. And he was absolutely awful at the PGA Championship. I know he was in the tough weather group, but he was awful. And I just don't like his form coming into there. Minus 0.62 strokes gained putting. If he putts anywhere near that, he's not going to come close to the leaderboard or a top 10. So I'm going to fade Patrick Cantlay here. Sung Jae Im is going to be my next one. He has really good stats the last few months. I cannot deny that. He finished 15th last week, but he is awful at this course. It does not fit him. He doesn't like it here. Miscut 63 and 57th in his 4 appearances at this tournament. So I'm going to believe that Sung Jae Im is going to struggle once again, as he has been every single time he's played here. And then Billy Horschel, something is off with him. Huge streak of made cuts in a row. I mean, if you played him to make the cut, you were cashing week in and week out. But his last 2 weeks, 68th and miscut, which is very unlike him considering how consistent he was this year. I mean, he was he was a great to put in your seasonal fantasy lineups. This is just a guy who's going to get you points on the weekend. But he finished 67th here last year. He may be slumping. We know these golfers struggle to be consistent throughout the course of a year. Only the top 5 or 10 can do it. Billy Horschel's not there. So, I got some red flags with Billy Horschel, so I'm going to be fading him. So Cantlay, Sung Jae Im, and Billy Horschel, those are 3 guys that can trip you up this week.
All right, 3 things. 1, my fingers here. 1, kudos again to the graphics team. I love those graphics. I knew the 3 players you listed. I still couldn't pick which one was which on that screen. I just love that graphic. 2, I am not on any of those players, and that makes me feel good because anytime I'm on that list of players and we're going opposite there, I usually lose and you usually nail it. So I'm happy I'm not any of those players. And 3rd, can I say the F word on TV? Live air? Probably not. Maybe I can. Just
go for it.
F you, man. Just F you. I bet whenever I bet him, I mean, it's not even close. It's way over the cut line, not even a sniff of a chance. And then I lay off him, and he's either winning or he's runner-up or he's right there. So I just cannot seem to figure that guy out. Cantlay, I hope you break your leg this week. Sorry, but I'm not betting him. Not happy with him. Can't take him. And that means if you're listening, bet Cantlay. Probably gonna have a good week. I will go back to another outright play. Andy, thanks for those guys. Definitely good notes there. Another person I am looking at this week if you've watched these shows over the last, I don't know, 6 months or so, especially the last 2 or 3 months, you're starting to hear some repeats from me. Lowry was one of them. The next guy, Matthew Fitzpatrick, is another one. It's like I'm beating a dead horse, but come on, he's gonna win. I mean, how good has he been? And I know you feel the same way. Last week you were on him, or was it 2 weeks ago? And you even mentioned it. You're like, I know you're gonna like this pick, Nick, and I always do because Fitzy's always there. He's 28-1 to win right now. He's still not gotten that PGA Tour win, but it's coming. It's coming. He's won elsewhere, so it's not like he doesn't know how to win. It just hasn't happened yet. I think he might fit the bill of when, not if, even more than Lowry. He does have 2 missed cuts in his last 6 starts, but not too worried about him. One was the Players, that stupid draw that everybody missed the cut at. And the other was the week after the Masters, which he was in contention at, so forgive him there. But however, outside of that, he's been showing up in the toughest events. Tied for 5th at the PGA, tied for 2nd at the Wells Fargo, which I mentioned that because that course played very, very difficult. Tied for 14th at the Masters, tied for 9th at Bay Hill. Those are all courses that, I mean, the winning score, well, the Masters was 10 under, but everything else has been single digits. In fact, besides those 2 missed cuts, his worst finish in his last 11 starts was that tie for 14th at the Masters. So that's very, very impressive. Otherwise, he's got top 10 in 7 of his last 11. He ranks top 30 in strokes gained categories, in all strokes gained categories, including 13th off the tee, 11th around the green, 10th in putting, so his short game is there. All that leads to being number 1 on tour in total strokes gained this season with the 4th best scoring average. And he's got some history here. He's got a solo third here in 2 years ago in 2020. So come on, Fitzy. This is your week, my friend. I know you're going to pull through. I'm feeling it. Or Lowry, I suppose. Either one I'd be fine with. But one of these guys is gonna pull through. So Fitzy, back it up with a top 10 right now, plus 300. But I like him to do well. Andy, let's go back to you. DraftKings Darlings, another awesome segment you do. Who are your low-priced guys on DraftKings that you're going to be targeting this week?
I think you could make the argument that this has been my best contribution to this year. We won again last week, so we're 12-6 head-to-head. 12-6 is, I'm really, really proud of that. And last week we only had one guy miss a cut. So the guy we were matched up against, he missed 2 of them. He had Harmon in his lineup, which I know you were.
He was watching the show. I'm sorry, but I set you up for that one, Andy.
Yeah, this is a great week for DraftKings. There's a few guys I'll go over. I'm going to start with the criminally underrated and underpriced Pat Perez at 6,600. He's made the cut in 8 out of 9 tournaments, and he loves playing here. Nick, he has made the cut 12 times in a row here.
Wow,
Pat
I didn't know that.
Perez.
He
Yes.
on his hair.
Yes, he's 6,600. I mean, this guy's putting up made cuts every time he plays, and you get points on the weekend at 6,600. You already have a leg up on your competition. So Pat Perez, I'm going to start off with. I'm going to roll the dice with Tricky Ricky Fowler at 7,200. He's made the cut 3 straight tournaments. Can't deny it. And he has finished top 15 in 5 out of the last 6 times he's played here. So he likes playing here. We get 3 made cuts in a row from Fowler. So I'll roll the dice with him at 7,200. And then my guy, my boy, CT Pan, just another made cut. He's 7,200. You take out the Players. He was in the bad weather draw. That's 8 straight made cuts he's made. And he's never missed the cut at this tournament. Ever. So you got Perez, Fowler, and Pan that I'm going to start off with. And I'm going to throw in Jordan Spieth. I'm going to add John Rahm. And I am going to add Patrick Reed. And I will mention this about Patrick Reed. Did you see the thing with his driver? He signed the deal in January to use that what is the PVX driver or whatever. And he's been terrible with it. PXG. Sorry, the PXG. So he's been awful. 112th in driving accuracy. So he didn't use it last week. Left it at home. Went to a different driver and finished 7th. So before last week, he was 0.41 strokes gained off the tee. Last week, plus 0.12. Just in 1 week. And this is eerily similar. Do you remember the year Bubba Watson tried to use the Volvic ball?
Yeah.
And it wouldn't work. So I got to believe that Patrick Reed, if he uses the driver that he used last week, he's going to be up there. And I think he's really underpriced. I think that's a guy that you could sneak in some bets and also in some of your lineups. And then I went with Spieth, Reed, and Rahm, but Nick, to your point, Lowry and Fitzpatrick are only 9,000 and 9,100. They are like DraftKings MVPs this year. You'd throw them in, you're getting top 20 finishes when they're only 9,000. So, but as far as the lower price guys, look at Perez, Fowler, and Pan as the DraftKings darlings this week.
Love that list. CT Pan's like the workhorse PGA guy. If you don't follow golf, you'll never know his name, but he cashes a check every single week. Like, who is that guy? He's always there. Always there. So definitely a good pick. And Reed, listen, you're right. If you're not comfortable with the driver, you got to get off the tee. So maybe that will work in your favor. It already proved it one week. I saw on Twitter. The one thing I relate to Reed the most is I saw on Twitter this week. There was a picture of him, and the note or the text just said, "Name a more punchable face than Patrick Reed's." And it was just his face, and I was like, "Yeah, I do want to punch. I do want to punch." Doesn't mean he can't win you money though. So good luck to you, Andy. That is Andy Lang, our standard bearer at the Memorial Tournament, with his DraftKings Darling segment. Andy, thank you very much. Let's turn the corner to our best bets of the week, Andy. I will go first, and I will simply say, "Cool." And I love to say, I used to think that they were booing him. I'm like, why are they booing Matt Kuchar? Who would boo Matt Kuchar? He's like the nicest guy in the world. But, I wasn't not the smartest guy. It took me a while to realize they were saying Kuch. So, listen, he's quietly playing some great golf. He's got only one finish outside the top 40 in his last 6 starts, including a runner-up at the Valero, a tie for third at the RBC Heritage. He didn't make it in the limited field at the Masters, but he did have a solid tournament at the PGA, finished tied for 34th. He's also started the season very well. He had 5 straight finishes inside the top 40 in the fall, and then he just had a bad stretch kind of in the middle of the season in February and early March where he missed 3 or 4 cuts. Otherwise, he's actually been very, very solid for the entire season. He doesn't have the distance anymore, but he's still accurate. He ranks 31st in driving accuracy, and he's a short game wizard. Ranks number 1 strokes gained around the green, as well as number 13 strokes gained putting. So if he is scrambling a little bit, missing a couple greens, I'm very confident he will be able to salvage par, which we know par will be a good score this week. He missed a cut here last year, which snapped a streak of 11 straight cuts made at Muirfield, with his worst finish during that run, a tie for 26, including a win among 7 top 10. So you mentioned all these guys that had good runs at Muirfield. Cooch, it's over. It ended. Maybe that's a good thing, but he's got a lot of good history here as well. So top 40 currently minus 125 at DraftKings, I think is worth the price here for admission. So Matt Kuchar, top 40. Andy, your best bet of the week is
going to be a winner. After I do my best bet, we got to pick our scores for this week. Yes. What the winning score is going to be. This one, I talk about jump off the page. Xander Schauffele over Victor Hovland is a no-brainer. I am not liking what I'm seeing from Victor Hovland. Does not have a top 20 finish since March 13th. Since then, he's outside the top 40 in strokes gained in this field, including minus 0.5 around the green. He hasn't been very good here the last 2 years, 47th and 48th. Xander, 4 straight finishes of 14th or better here, coming into this week with a 5th and 13th place finish. Has the 5th best strokes gained number since mid-March with everybody in this field. I mean, Xander's got better form, better stats, better course history, and it's only minus 120. I think this is a steal and a very easy play for my best bet this week.
I love it. Victor has been struggling a little bit, and him and Morikawa are obviously the big names from that class, and then now you got Scheffler, of course, who's taking them both over. But Hovland seemed like he was kind of leading the pack at one point earlier, maybe in the fall, somewhere in there. He was just right there every week. But one thing I didn't realize until this week was that he still hasn't won in the United States. He's got 3 PGA Tour event wins, 2 in Mexico, 1 in Puerto Rico, but he hasn't won in the United States. I'm like, I'm just thinking he has 3 PGA Tour wins. Of course he's won in the United States, but he hasn't. So take that for what it's worth. I like the play.
And Matthew Wolff has.
Who?
And Matthew Wolff has. It's crazy.
What happened to that guy?
Think.
I hope he comes back, Matthew Wolf. I love his swing, man. I hope he comes back.
Absolutely.
All right, Andy, last week you wanted to you threw in a nice little segment there where we were going to bet the winning score, which, listen, this is important for people that do weekly pools, and where you have a tiebreaker, usually it's pick the winning score. So last week I happened to win that. I went 13 under par. It ended up being Sunday, as you mentioned. You went just a little higher than me. So I guess I get the honors of choosing first this week. I like that number again. This course is it's right there. Maybe a 12, but I'm going to stick with it. It's proven a winner right now, so I'm going back to 13 under par. We'll get the win here at Muirfield this week. What do you think?
I think someone can do not necessarily what Rahm was on pace to do, but I think the weather is going to be a big deal. These guys have been playing in some pretty heavy wind the last few weeks. I'm going to add a couple of shots onto it. I think someone gets to minus 15 in the calm conditions.
You bring up a good point. I forgot about the weather as much as I just said. And even last week, I knocked off a stroke or two because it was going to be a little bit windy on the weekend. So, damn it, I didn't listen to my own advice. Can I retract my score and go again? Probably not.
All right,
13 to 15. Good luck. All right, let's end the show. I'm tired of talking to you. Let's talk about our promo code for the week. Memorial 20. Save $20 off this week's tournament pack for either myself, normally priced at $19, normally priced at $39. Excuse me, get it for just $19. So head over to WagerTalk.com next week. Andy, we will be back again next week. The RBC Canadian Open defending champion Rory McIlroy is there, so we will have that 1 week before open in 2 weeks' time. I can't wait for that. As always, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. On behalf of Andy and me and WagerTalk.com, thank you for tuning in. Make sure to smash that like button. Give us all those likes that you possibly can, and we will see you guys again next week.
WagerTalk and Sports Memo customers love $9 Mondays, where each package is just $9. For a limited time from June 1st until June 7th, we're offering a 30-day all-access pass from your favorite handicapper for $210. That's only $7 per day. This special includes all daily plays from your favorite handicapper every day for 30 days, including 5% plays normally priced at $39 alone. Use coupon code June30, good for multiple uses at WagerTalk and Sports Memo. Once you sign up, you'll get every play sent to you as soon as they post it.